Welcome to the Kickstart Podcast, where we highlight the stories of how professionals kickstarted and navigated their successful careers. My name is Preston, and on this episode, we have the pleasure of hosting someone who has an impressive career working at some of the most well-known tech companies in the world before deciding to start her own very successful HR consulting business. Marie, thank you so much for being on the show. For those that might be unfamiliar with who you are and your background, would you just mind sharing maybe a quick overview of your career so far or just high level?
I'm Marie. I'm originally from Germany. I'm also half French because my mother is French. I'm currently an HR consultant. I'm self-employed and I've been doing this type of job for the past 3 years. Before that, I was employed in HR positions at different tech companies in Berlin as well as Dublin, which is in Ireland, so still Europe, but a different country. I started my career working at Google in HR people operations, then moved over to SoundCloud back in Berlin, and then worked as a VP people at Billy, which is a local fintech startup company here. I grew up in Berlin, but then did my studies in London for 5 years total. And I started with a bachelor's in psychology at University College London.
Nice. Now, your first job, I believe you said it was Google. It was in the people HR capacity. So a lot of people can see the connection between maybe psychology and then working in HR and people. Is that something you've always wanted to do? Like, how did you get into Google? What was the interview process like? And why did you choose a position within the people capacity?
Yeah, really good question. So obviously it's kind of obvious to think you do psychology to then, do HR at some point later, especially because I did a master's in management after. So the combination of it kind of seems obvious. It wasn't really what I planned out to do. When I started psychology, I was really just interested in the subject matter. And then as my career or life progressed, I guess I just always had an interest in HR. I didn't know 100% what it was about. And when I was looking for my first job after uni, I was looking through different job descriptions, and I had a friend that was already working at Google reach out, rave about how great working there was. So I had a look at their open positions and found a people operations role that kind of just grabbed my interest. It was a good combination of, people topics, but also structure, kind of process focused approach. So I decided to apply, and actually he referred me, so that usually makes it a little bit easier for anyone out there looking for new roles. Try to find people who might be working there. Most companies have referral bonuses, so that's an easy way to maybe get a little bit higher on that application pile. Application process was actually pretty straightforward. I can't remember exactly how many steps there were, but it usually starts with a screening call with the recruiter. Then you get to meet maybe your direct manager or the person that would be your direct manager in the future. You get to meet the rest of the team, maybe do a couple of case studies. I got to also meet them on site, which was great to get an impression of Dublin, really, first of all, because I'd never been, and the rest of the team on the premises. And that was it. I moved over January 2013, so quite a while ago at this point.
Wow, I'm really, really glad that you brought up the whole referral. I think that is the easiest way to get jobs today. Like, so if you know people who are working at companies that you would like to work, definitely hit them up. Even if you think they don't remember you or it's from 5 companies ago, please, if you're listening to this and you're on the job market, I think what Marie shared is completely priceless. Rather than just cold applying or going through, even a recruiter like myself, the easiest way is to have someone personally vouch for you. It's the easiest way to get fast tracked. Funny, as like your first proper tech job, as many people in technology would dream of ending up one day at FANGs or the Googles of the world. So looking back retrospectively, I have a couple questions. Number one, how helpful do you think it was to have a degree in psychology? And did that help you succeed or find success at Google in a people-oriented position and later on in your career, or not really?
To be honest, I don't feel like I apply much of my psychology knowledge to my day-to-day work now or did back in the day, but it probably is the soft and hard skills that you kind of learn that are just implicitly part of your DNA or brain, and then that kind of manifests. But no, I didn't. So also, like, you have to say in HR, there's different types of HR. Where you probably use psychology most is probably like in an HR business partnering position, or developing learning and development programs, that kind of stuff. But definitely one way or another, it will have helped me. And I think definitely also for application purposes, since it's related to the field, I would say it probably helped. I wouldn't be able to say for sure, but it definitely didn't hurt, I don't think.
Yeah, it could be an extra like tool in your arsenal to give yourself better perspective or education or just understanding. Gotcha. And now also retrospectively, looking at your time at Google, if you could have done things differently, and we're going to talk about those a little bit later, because I understand after Google, you joined a couple smaller companies. If you went back in time, Did you think that you made the right choice, or would you have rather, worked at a company like SoundCloud or Billy before you ended up at Google?
Yeah, it's interesting because what I did, and I realized that once I started my own business, is kind of worked well for me because I started at a big company, super international, huge amount of employees, and then I kept going smaller and smaller. So back when I was in Dublin, I think the local employee count was 3,000. Globally was 20,000, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that's just a me. Maybe it was already 40. It's definitely higher now. SoundCloud back when I joined was 250 employees. When I left, it was 500.
Mhm.
Billy, which is a fintech that I joined after that, was 26 employees when I joined and was 80 when I left. But what this kind of cascading down helped me do was with each position where I also gained more responsibility, I was able to bring a lot of expertise of what things look like for a company that's maybe more developed in their growth stages quite a bit. So that's also a huge selling point. So for
Mhm.
example, if you go to SoundCloud and say, hey, I know how to run HR for 36 countries across EMEA with these and these different processes, the sell is much higher than the other way around. So if anyone's looking for advice, I would say definitely, if you can, if it's in your interest, obviously you have to like the job that you're doing at the end of the day and want to work for the company that you're working. Try to go big. Also, the names kind of help sell the next job that you're doing. And even nowadays, my consulting role, I would say the portfolio definitely doesn't hurt.
From your experience working at big tech, smaller companies, and now yourself, what were the things about those experiences that you loved? And what were the things about the experiences that really challenged or you didn't like?
So working in a company, any type of company, there's the whole environment obviously that you get, right? So at Google, it's the whole environment of, great learning experience, the scope that you are exposed to. And that's actually something that told me in onboarding as well, really be aware of everything that you're going to learn just by having access to it, being able to see it or, look into the different departments and really take advantage of the scale and the size of the operation that you're part of, and also be critical, of course. In smaller companies, again, I think the main learning, or one of the main learnings was that in smaller companies you might have even more opportunity to go into a wider scope of things. So look outside of your own limited job description, maybe try out different projects, try to help different teams, always look into what departments maybe you're collaborating with or working on, and whether there's things you can learn from that, because all of that will serve you well in the future. And then now working for myself, honestly, is my favorite setup. And there I really got to appreciate the power of community and connection. And that's something I really get to leverage now, which working in a company, you can, but it's always a little bit limited, even talking to other companies, even if it's just out of interest and expertise. You have to be a little bit careful so it doesn't look like you're just looking to find another job by, fishing in a different pond, that kind of thing. With my setup now, I feel completely free to, just go full on and all of that and really immerse myself in the HR community and the tech community, whether it's local or global, that I like to be a part of. So there's a lot of, freedom and creativity you can apply that you wouldn't necessarily be able to apply maybe when you're employed, because there's obviously expectations you have to meet that aren't necessarily defined by you.
Yes. And for those that are looking to work for themselves or possibly work for themselves in an entrepreneurial capacity or freelance capacity in
Mm-hmm.
the people HR, is there any advice, any tips that you learned so far throughout your career that you can share?
Sure. So definitely, I would say because it's a bit of a leap that can be a little bit scary, right? Try to talk to people who've done it before. That's what helped me most to at least get a better idea of what the type of work could look like, how you could position yourself. Is there enough work around? How do you get leads? How do you price it? And that's another aspect of the type of job that I really enjoy, that I'm able to give back also to other people, and like they have given to me, with that advice that otherwise it would be hard to find. And I think it's maybe a few skills that you would need to bring to the table, some sort of like accountability, being somewhat organized.
I think this conversation has been an absolute blast. I hope you definitely enjoyed it. And I've certainly learned a lot, Marie, and you truly have navigated your career in such a way where you were able to experience a lot of different things that different types of companies can offer. And then you really made that transition from big tech to small company to yourself. and you made it honestly look really, really easy. So I think for anyone that's listening right now who's looking for a new job, looking to kind of work for yourself, definitely listen to some of the insightful nuggets that Marie was able to share. Thank you so much again.